Who is by me? What's up, everybody? How's it going? A little bit of Fester Day there to start you off. Can you hear me? Can I be heard? I can be heard. Yeah. What's up? Yeah. A little bit of Fester Day of their new album, which is actually their first album. They've released a couple EPs, some compilations from demos and stuff like that in the past, but this is their first official full-length, and it's a perplexing one. It's very, very interesting, to say the least, considering it features a lot of really, really good songs, and then, for whatever reason, a lot of this album, in like 2 or 3 different locations, is the same song, only it's been like, the song has been reworked or changed up a little bit, and you get both versions, which is kind of odd. It's a very interesting little situation, I suppose. We will hopefully have another episode of 5 recently released albums coming this week. We have a number of albums that have been considered, and by number I mean like 5. It'll be a standard episode. It will not be a longer one. As of right now, I am looking at, oh gosh, I've listened to 4 albums. I have one more to get to before we go to press and we start recording, and we have a kind of limited week this week. The big album that's on my radar this week is Flotsam and Jetsam. Whether that gets a full length or not, we will see. It's going to be an interesting week, considering I have a lot to look into prior to Saturday, and that's whether or not I'm even going to be starting working on Saturday or not, because of the fact that the weather over here looks like it's going to be very, very very, very nasty. So again, it'll be interesting to see whether or not that happens. That does not look good. That looks wrong. That looks much better. Oh, hell yeah. Sorry, just making a modification to my log for the year. So far this year, there's only been one album that has eclipsed the 20 ranking. Only one, and it was the 22. So it's been kind of a slow start of the year. I don't think that's going to hold, though. We have a lot of stuff coming before the month is out. It's going to be a pretty exciting second part of January. That should be pretty nice. That should be pretty neat. Metal Fury coming in with the first request of the day. Wants to hear some Becoming the Archetype with End of Age. Andy is in the house, so we do have some of the mods here as well. Folks are coming in. The reason why the audio is a little bit off there, that was being played directly from Winamp, as opposed to being played from either YouTube or Bandcamp, which Bandcamp is really, really dumb because, oh boy, oh man, Bandcamp has a thing right now, and has had it, I guess, forever, that I wasn't aware of because I didn't ever look into like settings or help or things like that, where their audio is based off of the audio of your device or the audio of your browser, which explains why it was always so loud. But it is what it is. Yeah, Maru, there have been a lot of folks that have been highly critical of the weather forecasters around this area also, including one who is much younger than I am. In fact, I would say that he is maybe, oh geez, he's maybe has been just out of high school for like 2 or 3 years, but he nailed, and I mean absolutely to the letter, nailed the forecast for a winter storm that came a couple of years ago. And he went against what the big boys were saying, and he ended up being right. So there are some guys that I trust a little bit more than others, and he is one of them, surprisingly enough. Someone younger than I am, someone who literally is living what was at one point, back in a very, very young CKN's life, the dream. There's a video that exists out there. It does not, it's unfortunately not digital yet. It was recorded back in the 80s. I want to say it was around 1989 or maybe at the latest 1990. We have a local science center. We have a local science center. Paradise, what's going on, dude? Good to see you, man. We have a science center that's in Pittsburgh, which is about an hour away. And they had a big display on weather and geography and the like. And there was a student at that point that was that student was trying to, I guess, assess intelligence among the youth of that generation, and happened to see I was playing with the exhibit, and I was trying to do very, I guess, loose-based weather forecasting. Not real weather forecasting, where I was taking my information off of any sort of actual radar or charts or anything like that, but I guess that she was so impressed with my knowledge of geography that, yeah, she wanted it to be utilized for a master's project of sorts, and I guess did very well with it. So I was actually filmed whenever I was younger at that exhibit, and I still have a copy. My folks still have a copy of that, and I would like to make that digital and get that and get that on here for you guys. Hey 3K, what's going on, man? How you doing, dude? You're really curious to know if I drink water on a regular basis? What do you think I just did? What do you think I just did? Doom Pal alert? Uh-oh. Is there a switch going on? Is there a coup? Has Blonky invaded PayPal? Oh man, that would be something else. But at any rate, I'll be honest with you guys. What in the world? We have a... What just happened? Whoa. Okay, I'm going to read all of this because Waterblanc went to a large... he went out of his way to write all of this. We have €6.34 from Waterblanc that says, and I read, The dichotomy between ecstasy and sorrow is an integral facet of the paradigm of life. One cannot exist without the other. Complete fixation on the sanguine end of the spectrum can nullify the benefits achieved from it. Rather, a period of downcast, dejected doom and gloom will serve as a passage into the happier times. It will throw that bright, seemingly elusive light at the end of the tunnel into sharp relief, and analogous to a gush of wind in the vespertine night sky. Both feelings will dissipate over time. However, when these two fundamentals play off on each other, they will set you up for a life of equilibrium, rather than the paternalistic sanguine ideals that will only serve as a crutch to keep you bound to the status quo, rather than a conduit into the times that will make the suffering worth it in regard to longevity. Longevity. Now let's exploit the fuck out of that philosophy, shall we? Doom versus with Aternus. A piece of depressive doom metal just to keep you on your toes. P.S. Yes, this is totally an act of atonement or contrition to make amends for that array of Dutch pop from last week. Wow! Failed attempt at poetry. I would say base a book off of all of that, slap a philosophy sticker on it, and bam, you're the new Albert Camus. There you go, brother. That was beautiful. Not beautiful. That was beautiful. That made my booty pulsate. First off, we have End of the Age by Becoming the Archetype. And we will get started with that.
You can get custom.
Oh, you can customly suck my dick. Fuck you. Also, if somebody donated, or if somebody donates and they were watching GDQ last week, if you were watching Awesome Games Done Quick at All last week, my request from you is to style your donation similar to a donation that you were heard read for the marathon. Hey, Heart of Hades, I love you for loving my channel. Actually, I just love you guys. I love everybody here, man. GKN Club for life. George, yes, I have heard of Yob. Their last release was very, very high on the album list. If you have about, 15 minutes or so to kill, give that a watch. It's essentially a top 60 list of the year, considering there's 10 on it. Is it a little loud? If it's a little loud, then I can take care of that. There we go. Let me know if that's better for you or not. Apple or orange? Dude, I just polished off a shitload of clementine, so right now I'm an orange. But, holy crap. That was a really cool donation. I appreciate that. I appreciate it a lot. Hey, we'll be doing a 24-hour stream sometime this year, so I'll probably need a lot of messages similar to that one, or something really interesting, or something considering. No, this isn't new at all. 10 of your children are watching this stream. Well, they need to learn eventually. They eventually need to learn. Oh, thanks, Dad. Yeah, that's a little loud, and it's a little loud. That's, oh, you know what? That's on my mixer set, too. Cool. Should hopefully work out. So, wow. So the girls, the 4 female cats that we have, all got spayed yesterday. For those of you who have ever had animals, you know what the situation is like. You know what what it entails. Very, very important surgery for their health. So I was up yesterday at 5 in the morning. Actually, I never slept, so saying that I was up at 5 in the morning is basically just saying I was still awake. Took them down. The place where they were getting it done was about an hour away. Then went back down at 5 p.m. Picked them up at 6. But let's just say that I'm exhausted because they're supposed to have, or they do have, a 3-day supply of pain medication in them from the surgeries. It's slow release, which is kind of an amazing innovation if you ask me. It has slow release that's actually targeted specifically for their size, because the kittens are still pretty small. You know, they're like 4 and 4.5 pounds, whereas Mama is 8 pounds. Mama, we discovered, had a tapeworm, which is not good, obviously, but she was able to get medication for that. We have Notebook, by the way, with a pair of donations for Emery. Is this for real life? As well as Emery and Shallow Seas cdsale need a good cry. No thanks, I'm good. But it was a crazy, crazy thing. And the problem is that they are not cooperating with the fact that they need to kind of remain calm and not jump around and be kind of crazy, because they're used to playing with one another. So it's not like you can tell a cat, hey, don't play with your sisters and your brother. But it's not like I can tell the little boy, Cornell, not to play with his sisters because they're having... It's like trying to communicate that information to a child. You prefer concept albums, Heart of Hades? Check out Southern Empire. They're not really heavy, they're more traditional prog, but I think you'll really, really like them. 23 Snakes, oh my brother. That's awesome, man. Old turds, hey, you watch your language, man. I'm a turd, but I'm not old. But yeah, it's just one of those deals where you have to sort of be constantly on the watch to what they're doing. Right now they are all sleeping peacefully under the court of anesthetic or pain medication, just because they're cats and they need to sleep 18 out of the 24 hours of the day. But last night became very challenging, that's all I'll say. So I figured I'd take this opportunity to say hey to you guys. Say hello to you guys, stream for a little bit, and maybe work on a couple lists as well. That's my favorite progressive technical black and death or black band. We'll see. I use my time machine to go to the year 2027, whenever that actually exists, and the name of the band is called Blah Blah. My room is dirty. Your room is dirty. Your soul is dirty. That sounds like a comment that would be made by somebody on YouTube. Wow, I'd like you a lot more if your room wasn't so dirty, if you had a better microphone, and if you didn't dress in black shirts, if you only dressed in shirts that were an off cadet blue and wore matching pants that were also cadet blue. Basically, I would like you if you weren't you. So we have Doom Versus up next with that Tyrannus. It's a long one, folks. It's a big one. And we were accompanied with a fantastic message to go along with this one. So all 12 minutes and 28 seconds will be greatly beloved once it starts. Thank you. I think Metallica is a sellout. They didn't sell out, they bought in. They're Seth Rollins. No. Sellout is really a bad term to utilize with them. Their sound did change. They were pushed by Bob Rock to really challenge themselves a little bit with something different. And I don't think any band on Earth really manufactures a sound like that unless they are like in the pop music industry. Back then, I wouldn't say that that was something that Metallica was opposed to. So I'm really not too worried about that whatsoever. See you later. I would say that if you want to look at actual sellouts, look at those who have a voice but don't write any of their own music. They're literally just... And this is something where, imagine if you were somebody who was brought in for a guest appearance, you know, on somebody else's album. They did all of the writing for you, and you were there just to perform a role. Obviously, within that confine, maybe you do your own writing, or maybe you work with the artist in order to perfect everything. It's not necessarily true whenever it comes to pop music, where a lot of that stuff is, we have to utilize this formula because it's been shown that this works. Oh yeah, I really hate Imagine Dragons. They're pretty bad. To be friends with somebody whose favorite metal band or favorite movie is Superman 4 and their favorite band is Blood on the Dance Floor. I don't know if I would ever be in a situation where our two patterns of thought would actually coalesce that nicely. It would not gel at all. You know, it's kind of like saying to... It's like proposing to that liberal that's out there, could you be friends with somebody who is a diehard Trump lover and also thinks that the best movie of all time is, what was that, Obama 2016? Like a conspiracy theory film all about how Obama is bringing forth the end times. My hype for Periphery 4? I think it'll be alright. Remember, I think that Periphery is kind of a band that's had an up and down momentum throughout their career. Am I wearing my shorts? No, I'm not. Damn, I was going to strip right now. So, Periphery, I'm always interested in what they do because I'm wondering what side of them we're going to get. And what's also true about that is Tesseract. This Tesseract has had a career where none of their albums really sound the same. You don't want to hear any of the new Papa Roach. I have been told that I really need to... Andy, I was talking with Lurch about this. Lurch and I had a little discussion about this. I'm not sure if I have the power to listen to that album, but I may have to give it a try. When's that due out? Is that due out this week or is that next week? I don't even know anything about what Papa Roach's plans are. But yeah, someone dropping $60 for Dope Smoker in a stream. It's only gonna be 2 hours long. God. We have a big alert from Maru coming, a big old 20. Maru decided to donate that to the stream as opposed to buy a piece of CKN merch. Wants to hear some Beast in Black, Die by the Blade, Lost in Grey, Far Beyond and Further, Poets of the Fall, Moments Before the Storm, and Within Temptation with in-vein hardcore tracks associated with the 20 doll hairs. So, yes. Very cool, very cool. Southern Kingdom? I haven't... Wow. Is that... That has to be like a couple days in the past, because I haven't seen that. I did not see that as of yet. So... Well, looks like I might have something else to talk about. Awesome. That'll be polarizing. Are you allowed to request Dope Smoker? I mean, you can. That's a pretty big donation, though. And remember, at one point we will have an Evil Toad stream. We will have Evil Toad playlist of Doom 2, which will be coming later on this month. He and I have to talk about a date where we can do that, considering these streams are unfortunately falling and on the days in which he works. But we will have a big old stream with a bunch of stuff that he has requested. He says the playlist of Doom is done. And remember, that one is going to be even longer because it's 200 minutes, which is crazy. Speaking about Opeth, I think that this album has the opportunity not so much to be heavy as in the vein of their first 8 albums, but if you've noticed, each of these albums that have come in Progpeth, you know, in the prog Opeth lore, have slowly but surely been getting a little bit more heavy or have been cut with a little more of a sinister tooth. I don't expect a growl. I don't expect a single growl on this album, and if you're expecting that or hoping for that, you should just quell your expectations immediately. But I'm expecting this to be a wild album. I think it's going to be pretty crazy. That's what at least I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for the creativity to go even higher. What would a 420-minute Doom song sound like? A 420-minute Doom song. Goku's in the house. He wants to hear some Was ist Herrlos by Icebreaker. Yeah, Mark Morton, Lamb of God, has a solo album coming out in March, and he did a song that was recorded with Chester Bennington about, I want to say it was like 2 months prior to Chester's death, and it's actually a pretty good track. It's a pretty good track. I definitely give it a stamp. Mirror Reaper 2.0. Imagine Mirror Reaper with Dope Smoker with, I don't know, a Fauna album. I don't know, there's one artist that's over on Stone Meadow of Doom, and their albums are literally like 3 hours or 4 hours long because they're just extended jam artists. And like these are jam artists that are making albums the size of Grateful Dead concerts, which is wild and crazy to say the least. But if you think about that, if it's a 3 or 4 hour album, that's still only 240 minutes, which means that you would still have 180 minutes or 3 hours to go. So enjoy. Have fun. "24-Hour Flaming Lips" song. They have done that. They recorded for 24 hours straight as a part of a project that was not very successful. So yeah, things have existed. The Flaming Lips have always done some kind of wacky out there things. They once released a box set that was all sections of the same songs. So you had to actually listen to all 5 discs together in order to get the actual composition. Brains Dead Metalhead, what's going on? How are you? When I say that Imagine Dragons is the worst band on Earth, I would say that they're pretty bad. I wouldn't say they're the worst thing out there because I would say that and then I would hear something that would immediately quell that. They also backed Miley Cyrus. Yes, they did. Which was an interesting choice to say the least. They backed her on her album from 2015, which got an album review from CKN that was literally just me reciting the lyrics to Turbo Negro Hates the Kids. I did get the live album that Opeth just put out. No, I haven't gotten it yet. And as far as Mike being a genius, I wouldn't go so far as to say that he was a genius, but he was innovative. Innovation is super duper critical. And he made a nice benchmark for vocalists that wanted to get into heavy metal, considering having both the soft, solid, clean tones and the dirty, gruff growls is now a very important facet. You know, metal, whenever you listen to death metal during its earliest days, you didn't hear a lot of that if you heard it at all. You know, it was almost like you had to choose between one or the other. You couldn't really do a combination of both. Or if you did, it had to be kind of like a one-off. I would say that Mike was one of the first vocalists, and Opeth was one of the first bands to fully commit to that as a full band idea, like a full identity. So yes, it's very important. It's very important. I wouldn't necessarily say, I wouldn't throw around the word genius, but innovative is absolutely a word that I would use. Blackwater Park versus Still Life versus Ghost Reveries. Still Life all the time. Still Life is my #1 favorite Opeth album of all time, and that has gone unchanged for years. You need to get Immortal to play a Super Bowl in Minnesota. Just have the Super Bowl in the North Pole. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. Hi there, everybody. Long-time viewer, first-time donor. Put this toward killing the trains and saving the animals. Really, the thing is, with those 3 albums they should propose for Opeth, there are no wrong answers. Do I ever want to hear a new Limp Bizkit record if it comes? Yeah, I'll listen to it. I would listen to it for sure. I've been waiting patiently for Stampede of the Disco Elephants for like 6 years, because I figured, oh boy, the minute I review that, the channel will finally explode like it's been meant to for all these years. Songs About Jane is a legit good album. I heard She Will Be Loved the other day whenever I was in a store and thought to myself, wow, where's this band at? You know, this group has been gone for a long time. So that was Doom Versus with Atyrnus. Thank you very much for the drop there, Water Blanc. It is appreciated for that album. I don't know if you could go that far, because My Arms Your Hearse for a long time was, in my opinion, better than Blackwater Park. And then I did the Opeth discography, like whenever I first was in the early days of the channel, and it made me realize that while I love My Arms Your Hearse a lot, Blackwater Park is just a better overall album. There are some flaws in My Arms Your Hearse, though it is one that takes the concept of a concept album and does what it can with it. Rot wie die Leber by Eisbrecher, which I think I just tripped and fell all over that German. But up next we have Is This the Real Life by Emery. And no, this is not a Queen cover. Not in the slightest.
Update! Liberty Mutual customizes...
Update! No one cares. Please go away. Fortunately, those are just 6 seconds. But once again, that is something where rank-em-alls can be not only disputed, but it's why I always recommend that you place your personal list in the comments, because we're not going to agree on everything, especially whenever it comes to a discography of a band. If you don't know a band, it might be a good place to start whenever you are going on your journey, if you're interested in finding out anything about them, or if you would like them at all. But if you are a fan of the band, know of their work, and are very familiarized with their discography, then we are going to obviously dispute, because music is subjective and tastes are different. But I think AEW can rival WWE. Depends on how Double or Nothing and their first couple of shows go. I think they're going to have a really hot buzz initially, but it's the sustainable buzz is what they really need. They need sustainable buzz, and by doing that, they need to have a good. They have to have a good card full of talent, which having Chris Jericho does help, but you need a couple of other pieces to get around him. And also, the show needs to be in a time slot where they can get the audience. You know what I mean? And so with so many people cutting the cord, having a cable deal is kind of a risky gamble. Because for one, as an example, I don't have cable. So if they do a weekly show, I can't watch it. You know, they'll have to get some sort of deal for streaming 100% in order for that to be truly successful. But the one thing that they do have is that they do have deep pockets willing to throw money into the company, so it's not a financial risk that they have to assess. So they are essentially unlimited to what they can do with the show. They can make the show look very, very good. So present a very acceptable aesthetic, and then the talent itself has to be the real catalyst there. Which I just saw that Shane Strickland is now a free agent from Lucha Underground. I think that would be a quality pickup for them. I think it would be a very quality pickup for them to get Shane Strickland before he has a chance to jump to WWE. So that would be a very smart idea, I think, for them to get him. In Shallow Seas We Sail by Emery coming up next. Really, here's a huge coup for Ring of Honor and for New Japan is the fact that they have Jeff Cobb, because he was an important part of Lucha Underground. He was Matanza Cueto. He was Dario Cueto's brother, who was a legitimate monster. Now, there are names, obviously, that would be sort of dream quality names, you know, super wish list names. And it's a lot is dependent upon their contract situation, but I think that AEW has a good working relationship, or at least the guys have a good working relationship with Pentagon. So you could probably see him or imagine him making the jump once his contract with Impact expires. In Shallow Seas We Sail by Emery up next. Donated from the Riff Notebook.
I've got eyes in the back of my head and I
want to hop it back over to the Super Chat side with Poets of the Fall with Overboard. That's our second Poets song that we will have today.
Maybe you're right. If I was wiser, I would not have let myself come here tonight.
What are my thoughts on them starting up a women's tag team division? It's an interesting idea. I think it's been sort of a long time coming. I don't feel that there being one champion on each brand is kind of enough. But the problem that WWE often has is that they have all of these titles and then don't know what to do. They don't know how to book them in order to make every title match seem important and believable. So, while I do like the idea, I'm concerned about the booking. Because they have to book so much content that you can hot-shot rivalries before a pay-per-view happens, or you could really significantly damage the shelf life of rivalries so they don't feel it's very important to kind of jump from rivalry to rivalry and build an ancient style. Sometimes the real benefit of having long gaps between major shows is that it allows those tag teams to be in matchups, or those competitors to be in matchups that aren't with the same, competitor. You can build a little bit of a story around it. But that's again, that's kind of an old school way of booking. You see, we used to be okay with seeing the same match over and over again in the Attitude Era because we didn't see the same match over and over again. We saw those competitors, the champions, were in matchups with a bunch of different people, and then the competitor that was going to be going after the title became more prevalent or known through either interference or in some creative way, like after the match. There was a lot of things that happened there during that era that were just absolutely ridiculous, but a lot of the stuff made really good psychological sense. Yeah, Death Rock and Death and Roll are basically one and the same. That's basically the same thing. This here is Emery with In Shallow Seas We Sail. Yeah, looking at some of the lists and stuff, one of the which is 5 reasons people hate WWE. Trying to get to that here in my little cheat sheet worksheet. And not to spoil it, but the PG era really caused a lot of hate among WWE fans. The storyline's insulting the intelligence of the fan. The quality is way worse than the competition because the quality of wrestling is based around wrestling WWE style as opposed to that more high impact style that you see. Talent is being wasted. What do you guys think about Finn Balor going up against Brock Lesnar in a matchup that will mean nothing because Finn's not going to win? And then Vince just being out of touch. I mean, good motives, bad motives, what's the deal? So now I need to get into when things came in. And up next we're going to have Beast in Black with Die by the Blade. We're going to die by the blade, everybody. I'm excited. This is relatively new. I think this is their newest song. So if you're interested in Beast in Black, good stuff coming up here. Imagine a triple threat for the women's title, Lynch versus Rousey versus Flair. Would not be surprised if that's where they ended up with it. Or something very similar. But I wouldn't look to see Rousey stay in WWE past her contract. I wouldn't see her resigning. I would not look for that. Returning empty-handed by Under Oath. Yeah, Under Oath is very, very different. Who should break Kurt Hawkins' undisputed streak? Oh man. Heath Slater. No, that's wrong. Heath Slater a couple years ago would have been the perfect candidate for it. These days, honestly, you know who would be a really, really good candidate would be The Miz. You know, The Miz would be a really good person for that. Because if you saw how the whole experiment with him and Shane led to that loss against local competitors, he's just got such an emotive face and he's so good at his character work that it would work. It would do really, really well. And plus, it wouldn't damage Miz's credibility all that much. You know, he's kind of in a spot right now where he's not doing much. You know? You know, he's not involved in like a super critical storyline. And listen, you could have a real funny story with this where he loses to Hawkins, ends up eventually getting the world title over there on SmackDown, and then Hawkins comes out and says, well, that means I get a world title shot, and then Miz beats him in like a minute. The new soil work was pretty meh. Yeah, unfortunately, that's true, and I've seen that there's been a lot of folks that really enjoy that album, and I'm glad that you did. But I've listened to soil work ever since Shane Heart Machine, Predator's Portrait, albums like that, going all the way back to whenever those albums were pretty new. You know, those albums were only a couple of years old, and you know, tastes change, styles change, and you could say it's a styles clash, since we're talking about wrestling as well. They did do some things different with this album, but the big problem that I had with the disc was that halfway in, I kind of heard everything that I was going to get from it. And despite the fact that the second half was a little bit stronger than the first, it also didn't add any real new tricks. You know, it felt like I was listening to a old school death metal album that was released in 2000 and say like 12, whenever old school death metal was not really in a position of power. It felt like a band that really found a number of different ways to play essentially the same song, even though they were by no means the same song. It wasn't a creatively stimulating disc, unfortunately. And that's coming from a guy where, you know, a couple years ago. Oh, excuse me. A couple years ago, we talked about a soilwork disc with high praise. Lost in Gray up next with Far Beyond and Further. We're getting some brand new stuff. This is about a month old. This is about a month old that we're getting into here. Like I said, just who's the greatest jobber? The Brooklyn Brawler. Come on, man. You can't go against the Brooklyn Brawler. He's the man. Oh yeah, the Soilwork album, it's one of those discs that'll sort of always be there, so you're not missing anything that is going to drastically shift your radar and feel really any differently about what 2019 is going to be as far as music is concerned. Like I said, it's a solid album, but it's nothing that's over the top exceptional, is kind of the problem that I have with it. Lost in Gray released the newest album last Friday. There we go. Unfortunately, not discussed in 5 recently released. Oh boy. May have to see if I can't maybe nab this for a future episode though. If I can, I will. If not, then I'm stopping. Okay? Fine. Probably should find her. Be right back, folks.
space travel, the price of every launch is the destruction and pollution of our environment.
Time to get
Which is why
naked.
we have to understand the world we live in if we're going to get out of this alive. We are the universe, given consciousness, made manifest, and trying to understand itself. And when you're up there, looking down on this wonderful little planet, its limited resources can be used for two things: the advancement of humankind or self-destruction.
Had to do a little kiddo check. It's all good. Christmas right now is not the beginning. That's mostly because of all of the meds and stuff that she's been on. She's on the slow release painkiller that all the little girls were given as well for the neutering, or the spaying rather. And then, like I said, she has tapeworms, so she's also on a separate medication that's killing the tapeworm. So right now, she's a tired girl. She's a tired girl. So, gotta keep an eye on her. Gotta keep an eye on her because that could potentially lead to her not eating, and her not eating would be very bad. Obviously, she'd be very dehydrated. So, trying to make sure that she does eat a little bit at least. That way she doesn't starve herself or get dehydrated or make herself even sicker. Mario, I will say this, the little ones, the 4 little girls, or not the 4 little girls, the 3 little girls, they're doing just fine. I'm more afraid of them ripping their stitches because they are so fine, you know. They're playing like nothing happened. Like, they have more energy than any of the boys did whenever they got neutered, and neutering is a far less invasive surgery. You know, it's just like us men, you know, you snip away our ability to create, and we just mope about it for days. Men, right? Cody, what's going on, brother? How are you doing? It is going alright, I suppose. It's kind of it's been an interesting 48 hours, to say the least. So, Moments Before the Storm by Poets of the Fall coming up next.
Do humans like overpaying with Verizon, don't they?
Yes. We just like overpaying in general, because we're dumb. So, I mentioned there that I'm slowly kind of working on some lists. And it's for the stuff from Videomania. Because, while some of this stuff has been done and has already been released, there's still some lists and things that need to be created. And I'm not necessarily looking for input, necessarily. Though I will probably have a couple of polls that will be over on the Facebook group in the coming days that will talk about some of the things talked about. Like, for example, the top 10 heavy metal genres, mostly because it's just a really interesting, I think, idea that is one that is extremely subjective, just the same way as bands are concerned, and music itself. There's a lot of subjective tone with that, and I'm kind of curious as to what your favorite heavy metal, you know, subgenre or genre is. So pop me an answer in chat there, and let me know what you're thinking. Know what you're thinking. Honestly, like, most of the stuff that I need to actually put together, like the actual, you know, get the actual list together, are rank-em-alls. But that's also because there's like 10 rank-em-alls out of all of this. It's absurd. And I'm still waiting on a video idea from Dawson.
And down the beach I'll trail your footprints in the sand over land.
There won't be Persian Kittens and Kitten stream anymore. Oh no. Oh, that stinks. Yeah, Mythic Bells, my tech department knows that she was showing me some of their videos. I didn't realize they streamed though. That is kind of sad. No, they don't. The cats that they have on the channel no longer are breeding, so they had multiple litters. And what do I think about his barbecuing skills? Give that man a prog metal cooking show just for the hell of it. But it's a pretty interesting concept that we are so kind of culturally obsessed with our pets. But yet there are folks out there, like there's a Chilean YouTuber who literally was able to keep a video up of him slaughtering a cat. And whenever I heard that, I have never been more infuriated in my life. Like, I get demonetized for something dumb, like talking about an album in a way that the artist doesn't find pleasing or good for their promotion. Which has happened. And it's happened to other members of the community also. But yet, somebody who literally takes an animal's life was allowed to be monetized for a long time. New DT track is much better than Undead Angel, so I feel a little bit better about the album because the first track felt like very much Dream Theater by number, and now we have a track that feels like it has a lot more individuality and purpose to it. And haven't you noticed also that most singles that we get from Dream Theater have that feel to it? You know, like there hasn't been a single that I can think of the last few albums from Dream Theater that has ended up being my favorite song off of the album, or really even be in the top 5. But if you screw up a concept like Fall Into the Light, for example, then maybe it's time just to hang it. Or maybe it's time for them to just go on a hiatus and work on, you know, solo projects or supergroups. New Transatlantic album. Excuse me. Or hell, just give me another Liquid Tension Experiment album just for the, you know, pure fuck of it. Just for little pee-pee squirts and giggles. Over the next couple of days, you'll be posting special top 10 lists. One of my all-time favorite rock bands, my all-time favorite metal bands. Nice. Nice. Ozzy, if only that were somewhat even true. I haven't looked, but I think those are still monetized. I think they are. I should actually look now. It'd be really, really funny, but at the same time, it pissed me off. Would be if I looked and that video was demonetized.
At McDonald's, we make.
That would be honestly not very funny at all. That'd make me really, really mad, actually. I might make a video about something like that. It would certainly be tempting. I would have many not nice things to say. Party for X 90s medley, Dutch Avant-Garde from Waterblanc, thanks dude. Now I'm actually like legit curious about this. Soen's new album is going to be insane. Like, I'm really, really pumped about that. I can't wait for that to happen. Let's see here. Nope, still monetized. We good. We good. Prepare thyself. Something. Yo, CKM, my country's metal scene in Lebanon isn't really all that solid, but in 2018, a band called Ostara released The Room. My thoughts. I will again guide you to my top 50 of the year, and you will You will see that album on there. Where will it be though? Where will it be? This is Within Temptation. Yes. Yes. Yeah, I did have to actually check. I don't look at that stuff every day like I used to. I used to look at the YouTube analytics of the channel like every day, multiple times a day, and I think that led me to go a little bit stir crazy whenever it comes to that stuff. Now I look at that stuff like every couple days, if I'm lucky. Like I haven't looked at that I think in probably 4 days. It was probably right before the weekend, and I was probably bored. Probably bored, really. Yeah, as a spoiler, it's not number 50. Oh, look, Halio is just such a good disc. Soen is just a group that is. You take a look at that style, and you look at the freshness, and you look at just everything that they do. And it's kind of awesome to see. There's like there's gonna be a new Sailor album too, which is gonna be pretty sweet. Not prog, obviously, completely different breed, but that's gonna be really neat too. Arion with Day 11 Love. That's actually one of the rank 'em alls I need to actually get the list together for, and that's gonna be a hard one, man. That's gonna be rough. Because don't forget, some of the first couple of albums in Arion's discography are really, really good. Despite the fact you don't hear them talked about as much. Like Into the Electric Castle is really super solid. So it's gonna be really interesting to see. I guess they're number 20 or 30. If you don't see them there, don't give up. Just keep on trying. Just keep going. Not seeing them in those positions will fill you with determination. But yeah, it's going to be extremely interesting to say the very, very least. With some of these rank 'em alls, simply because there's so many albums by these bands that I enjoy that it's going to be, and this happens kind of with each rank 'em all that I do. I look at lists before I start recording or before I start even like getting any sort of information together that I want to mention, and I see the same arguments in my head. I see folks completely ignoring the message of there are no wrong answers whenever it comes to this band, and immediately going for, I can't believe you put that album at number 9 or number 10, or, you know, that at number 1, it should be this, you know. The idea of, I don't want to call that elitism, because it's really not. It's just being opinionated and really liking your pick. But it's amazing how many folks feel that music is objective. Was ist hier los by Icebreaker. Coming up next, we have a pair of Icebreaker songs. Next up in the queue, which the queue is, well, it's not very, very long. We just got another one, though. We got the Tweakers with Jägermeister, which, consequently enough, I used to love Jägermeister back in the days whenever I drank. I'm still a big Mendes fan, though, Adel. You have to understand. And Morning Rise is a good album, but whenever you consider some of their other discography, it feels like a moth that is in with a cage full of tigers. You know, it just feels like such a it's the ultimate underdog album. If you're looking for an album that would maybe try to pull off an upset, it's a disc that's so oftentimes forgotten about, which is rude because it's a great album. But, you know, what are you gonna do? Is this new Rammstein? No, this is not even Rammstein. This is Icebreaker. I'll put that name in chat for you. Oops. Hopefully not put a slash there like I had just done. This is from the same country as Rammstein. Not that I'm sure that gives you any sort of feel. I drank a lot of Jägermeister because of I really enjoyed Jaeger and Red Bull. I forget what those were even called, these Jaeger bombs. Real simple name. I can't believe I forgot. I was a big Jaeger bomb guy whenever I was in college. I don't know why, to be perfectly honest. I think it was because my buddy and I made them very Jaeger heavy. And to us, it was just whatever. But everybody else that seemed to drink them seemed to get very, very violently drunk. Not violently like they started beating up people and stabbing, you know, frat brothers and sorority co-eds. No, like to the point where they would walk home. One of them walked home and like fell in the snow and just stayed there for a while before they were able to, you know, recover and get to their bed. You know what I mean? But now I don't drink at all, which is amazing. I know. I don't drink whatsoever. I haven't had a taste or a touch of alcohol for, at this point, it would probably be 6 months. Because every so often I'll have like a beer or I'll have a shot of something whenever my tech department comes in town. She's basically the only reason why I'll drink. Or if I'm absolutely like forced to go meet somebody at a bar. But I haven't had drinks on consecutive days in what feels like an eternity. Oh my god. That's probably been years. Rotwei die Libre by Icebreaker coming up next. So if you like the first song, here's another one for your ear holes in order to potentially get you sold on this group. Icebreaker, pretty good band. If you like Rammstein, as many of you have mentioned, they are quite complimentary. Quite complimentary. I'm not straight edge. I have, unfortunately, an addiction to cigarettes, which is no good. I drink caffeine. You know, I drink a lot of things with caffeine in it, which I'm not even sure if it's part of the straight edge lifestyle or not. I don't think it is. Should be, because it's a drug, damn it. I'm addicted to it. And then, I do use the devil's medicine. Not Mary Jane, but, you know, actual medication. I have, though, gone without CBD now for a number of days, and it is what it is, you know. Drink some whiskey. Am I still trying to quit? Not really. That kind of hit a very critical snagging point. So unfortunately, this attempt to quit was another failure, but that's okay. This attempt proved a lot to me, and that was the fact that whenever that mindset happens again, I'll be damn ready, and I'll be in a great position. So, I'm okay with that. Every single time I try to quit, I get a little bit closer, and that to me is a positive, because I guess I would best describe myself as having a very addictive personality, which is the reason why I don't like to go with anything harder than like a painkiller every now and again, as far as drugs are concerned, because I know that, like smoking, you know, Smoking started as a big time like coping mechanic back in 2007, 2008, mostly 2008. And I had smoked whenever I was in college, off and on, here and there, and I was never the type that got hooked. And then I did. You know, it was like my luck ran out. It's been 10 years now. So it needs to end, but it's also a very, very gripping addiction, especially as you get older. There's nothing at all wrong with failing. Yeah, there is absolutely nothing wrong with failing. So that to me gives me a lot of positivity toward the future, because I've also noted that my desire to quit has come back in quicker, like shorter intervals. So I'll probably be tired of it again within the next month or so, and I'll probably give it another go, because I've been actively trying for a while. Evil Toad, how you doing, man? How you doing, dude? Good to see you. Just to give you a little bit of background, Evil Toad, not really a very long stream. I'm honestly streaming, or was streaming while the little kittens were asleep. The 3 girls had their spangs yesterday, so they are kind of actively going a bit nuts because they're on slow-release painkillers. So they get knocked out for a while, and then whenever they wake up, they feel invincible and want to run around and do a bunch of crazy shit that they shouldn't do, because if they rip their stitches, that's not good. So I'll probably be here till about 7, maybe a little bit after that, and that'll probably be about it. But everybody does know that the Playlist of Doom Part 2 is done. Evil Toad's Playlist of Doom 2, The Quickening, is complete, and we'll have to get a day set for that. Overboard by Poets of the Fall coming up next. Here we go. Here we go, yo. Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario? I have about 4 more tracks on the queue for the moment. Sweden versus England in metal music. Dude, you sound like you're straight up trying to make like a heavy metal World Cup, and that's kind of a cool idea. Like straight up, that's a pretty cool idea. Because Sweden has great stuff. England, though, I mean, you have Iron Maiden and Saxon, Cradle of Filth, just to name 3 names right there. Sweden, all of Gothenburg scene. You know, mellow death gets a lot of root from that. There's a lot of Swedish death metal. There's Swedish black metal. There's a lot, man. Machine Supremacy, dude, I haven't heard that name in a fucking age, dude. That's awesome. Yes, I know they did Goku. That was the only pick I got wrong this past weekend, because I thought the Chargers had a good chance, but they got overwhelmed early. Whenever you don't go down 41-14 and come back and win. Sabbath? Never heard of them. Who are they? Oh yes, Sabbath, of course, they're great. God bless England. Do the face reveal in the next couple of days. There we go. Should do a real music championship. We kind of did. We did Music Madness for 10 years. This is the first. This will actually be the first year that we're not going to do Music Madness come March or April. So yeah, this is going to be a. When am I going to do a face reveal? I don't know, man. I'm kind of like Smitty. I don't want to do one. It's better off that you live in mystery than know the truth. I don't want Brady Breeze at all. This is Poets of the Fall, by the way. Riff Notebook. I want LA and KC. I want the sequel to that freaking 54-52 or whatever the score was Monday night game. That was absolutely bonkers. I want that rematch, because I think that would be a really fun game. That would be a fun game. And one thing that I'll be honest with, and this is true for a lot of folks that don't like the Patriots, so if you're a Patriots fan, this is sort of the view from the other side that you no doubt have heard 1,000 times from people much more vicious than I. Most of Super Bowls that the Patriots are in, for a guy like me, are spent pulling so hard for the opposition that it almost makes the game not fun. You know, you kind of like taper yourself back and simmer down because of the commercials and stuff, but I want a fun Super Bowl. I think LA and KC would be a fun Super Bowl. I think they could easily have a game similar to that Monday night game. You know? Especially if it stays close. If it stays close and it's a literal shootout, man, that would be the wildest game, and I can guarantee you that you would have so many people with clenched butts throughout the entirety of the fourth quarter. It'd be amazing. Yeah. I would have been, and another thing that I would have really liked if the Patriots would have exited would be the 4 teams that would have made it through. I'm pretty sure none of those 4 teams were in the championship game last year. Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be. Oh, the Saints might have been. Or no, the Saints were the ones that were surprised by Minnesota. Yeah, I think that is accurate. If the Chargers would have beat the Patriots, all 4 of the teams would not have been in the championship game last year. For there. That's Poets of the Fall, Mango. Yeah, the song's called Overboard. The band is Poets of the Fall. As Waterblanc was mentioning, or Mario may have mentioned, I apologize. Whoever it may have been is already scrolled up in chat. That's the song that most people know from Poets of the Fall, which for me wasn't true because I didn't really know of the band until these streams. So you guys have exposed me to a group that I now enjoy quite a bit, so thank you. Returning Empty-Handed by Under Oath is up next. We have about 3 tracks left, all of them from Waterblanc after this, and then I think we will be parting company. I understand it's kind of a shorter stream, but hey, Breathing Machine. Nice to see you this evening. Yeah, the next couple of tracks are going to be there's a pair of Dutch tracks, and then there's going to be some progressive music within there as well. Yeah, it has been a freaking full-time job trying to keep these kiddos corralled after their surgery. Like, I was up till, I want to say, about 5 or 5:30 last night, based off of that period. And it was to the point where I was getting very frustrated. Which was, it kind of sucked because from the time that they got home till about 1 a.m., they were fine. And I nearly fell asleep around 1 o'clock. I decided to go out and get a little, like a little bite to eat, like a little midnight snack, which usually that helps me sleep. That was what actually set everything off. See you later, Andy. You have yourself a good one, dude. Again, I would really love to see that KC LA Super Bowl. I think that'd be pretty awesome. I'd have been cool with LA versus LA too. Or even LA and the Chargers taking on the Saints. Because Breeze has a Super Bowl, but Phil Rivers doesn't. And at first I thought that that was what they were really pushing towards, for Phil Rivers to get that Super Bowl ring. But there are hurdles, man. You have to get over those hurdles in order to get it. Phil wasn't able to quite do enough for the Chargers. Though that score was a lot closer than it looked like it was going to be. I will admit that much. So, good on him, and good on the Chargers for not stopping as a team. They didn't give up. Medicine Hill's the greatest wrestler of all time. He's the best tripper I've ever seen. Considering that draft class is so hot, you know, and has so much history that surrounds it, I kind of would like Phil to have a Super Bowl title under his belt. I would like to see that. But, you know, if it's meant to be, it'll happen. If not, then he'll kind of be like, he'll be Dan Marino, essentially. He'll be the new Dan Marino. Sometimes that's what happens. Dan Marino never got a Super Bowl. Elway almost didn't get a Super Bowl. And which, you know, would that have been a bigger sin for Elway not to have a Super Bowl? I would think Marino not having one is the biggest sort of black eye of his career. As you can tell, I love talking sports. I could talk about sports for the entire stream. We've spent most of the stream like barely discussing music in general, but that's fine. I wasn't even sure I was going to stream tonight. I was thinking, there's a little too much going on, but things changed. Hey, we have merch. We have stuff in the CD sale still. It still exists. If anything, if you want to use the CD sale as a good reason to discover a couple of bands and listen to them and discover who they are based off of what's available for sale, dude, you can use it for that as well. But anything that you see over there on the CD sale, I believe is 100% available. We just had a really big sale, and I think there's actually a couple titles I didn't remove from that, which I need to do. I might have to actually look at that like live and on the fly. But up next we have Party Frex with 90s Medley, which is Dutch avant-garde, as stated from Water Blanc. And it's about 6 minutes, so yeah, I think I am going to take the opportunity to take a look, because there was a couple of albums. By the way, not surprisingly, the gent who had this nice order is our own benevolent Lord Justin, who I have has really gotten a ton of the albums in the CD sale. So listen, this is not at all a sales pitch. This is just cold hard facts, because I'd say out of the stuff that's been available, dude's probably bought like 100 off of me. If there's something that you see on that list that you are even remotely interested in, and I actually did update it, holy crap, I am surprised, honestly. Nice. If there's anything on that CD sale that you're even like remotely interested in wanting, my recommendation to you would be to send a message to me on social media, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, or over on Instagram, telling me what you want. Because there's a good chance that if you don't, the next opportunity that there is to have it, it won't be there. See you later, Riff Notebook. I don't think Riff actually knows that there's new stuff in the CD sale, but I don't know, maybe he does. Whatever. Insane shipping costs? It's actually not as bad as I thought. Shipping to Water Blanc was like, what was it, 16, 17 bucks? Did you see the stuff that was like the Darkest Hour and all that stuff? The mostly metalcore section that I got? I don't know if you saw that or not. Just letting you know. It's whatever. You might like the stuff, you might not, I don't know. Oh wait, you got that August Burns Red from me. Never mind, you did see it. You were the one that got the August Burns Red. Breathing Machine, I haven't. It's on my list. Bluff with Zotladen, aka the most overplayed song ever. Baba Cash says this is awful. Yeah, so you have seen the new stuff, Birth Notebook, so never mind. Apologies. Later, Rippy. Have a good one, man. This is pretty awesome, I'm not gonna lie. This is pretty fun. What do you think? What do I think about Bullet for My Valentine? Recently, not good. First part of their career, I had high hopes for them. I'm not gonna lie. I heard Bullet for My Valentine whenever I worked at Spencer Gifts, which is it's a novelty shop that is in America that sells like a lot of like black lights and candles and dildos. That third part is absolutely true. Kind of like it's not an adult store by any means, but they do sell some adult-oriented products. And then, as a result, they also play pop music as well as like fringe line modern metal because they sold T-shirts and stuff as well. Bullet for My Valentine was a band that they promoted for a while. So. Originally, I thought to myself, man, these guys have a decent chance. Not anymore. They become really generic, unfortunately. They're one of those bands that I'm kind of a sucker for. I keep on giving them a chance because, again, and this was best described to me the other day by our own Evil Toad about Avenged Sevenfold, who had written off the band before even listening to the stage, and then listened to the stage and really loved it, and felt kind of, admittedly felt silly for not giving it a chance, but, I mean, whenever you've been disappointed by something over and over again, or something just hasn't really gelled with you, it's easy just to pass on something. It's easy just to say, you know what, no thanks, I'll get to that later. That's exactly what happened, and you ended up really liking it. There may be a Bullet for My Valentine album in the future that might have that same feeling for me. Same thing is true for Five Finger Death Punch and all those other bands that get a lot of hate from me. Freddie Mercury is hoping that he can send a telepathic message to the band to sue. Gravity was just a really lackluster album in overall composition. At times it feels like the band is very lazy. There's a difference between being straightforward and being lazy, and that album really exposes that. Evil Toad coming in with Arcane with Unturning. Thanks, brother. Got 4 tracks left now on the queue. I know I just said that a couple minutes ago, but the queue is also grown by 2 tracks. And like I said, I think I will have to peace out. That'll put us at right around 7 o'clock, which whenever I was planning on departing anyway. Especially knowing that the girls are up. Here's Day 11, Love by Ariane. That, Eugene, was Party Frex with 90s Medley. It's a Dutch avant-garde. Though, it's not the avant-garde that you might be thinking about. It's not avant-garde like Model in the Well or Agala. If you wanted to throw Agala to Model into the Well style bone of avant-garde. It's not Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum.
Friday night, I had a few. There she was.
Dutch culture does legitimately sound like it would be. It just embraces the stereotype that the stereotype perception that everybody else has about them. If there's anything that I've kind of gotten from the music is that The Dutch are so chill, they just accept the stereotype and actually run with it. And honestly, that is something very important to do if you're a culture, or if you're just a person in general. Accept criticism. Oh, such a good song, by the way. Yeah. Argon is Dutch. That is correct. Thoughts on Modern In Flames? Modern In Flames is they're a band. They're nothing special. They're really nothing special. And that's, I think that's the reason why I was so upset with them, like initially, was because I was not willing to accept this as Modern In Flames, like this being what In Flames was and will forever be now, you know? I was one of those diehard fans that was kind of hoping for a little backward journey. This is who they are. This is who they are now. It's fine. It's whatever. You will never see In Flames top an album of the year list. I'll throw that out there. That'll never happen. Not in this current form. But I don't think that that's. I don't think they really care about that. You know, they're happy with who they are. Breathing Machine sounds like it'd be a pretty cool, like, post-rock band name. I do like that name. That's pretty cool.
Friday night, I had a few.
Should fill the stream with Fenno Dutch music, and that'd be the end of my channel. Oh, my channel's already close to ending, anyways. It's dead. Dead. Why does that CKN guy even keep trying? He's an idiot. Modern In Flames sucks. Here's the thing. Whenever you look at In Flames as this band, you know, the band that they've been for the past, now almost 20 years, you have to realize it's been almost 20 years. It's been, I mean, we're over the hump of 15 years. It's like 17 years. The material that they released, for example, over the past month, about par for the course. You know, some pretty good, some of it's just kind of there. None of it was really terrible. But to say that they are an excellent band anymore would be a lie. They're average at best. I really think Static would have made that hilarious meme video if your channel was nominally dead. I don't know, maybe. Why not?
I can't move. I can't feel my body. I don't.
You know what's really weird about YouTube? Their algorithm is so busted it doesn't go right to the next song in the story. It instead goes back to day 2. Great song, mind you. Terrific song. Huge epic to really get the gist of what's happening with the human equation. But yeah, you'd expect it to go to the next track. That would make sense. The Tweakers with Jägermeister. Let's start drinking. If you drink. If you don't, then don't. That's true. Yeah, the lights are still on because of the patrons of the stream. Patreon is still there. I haven't done anything with that in a long time. Like, is Patreon even like a big thing that people promote these days? Or like, is that still something that's out there? I remember whenever that was everywhere, and now I barely see that. You're kind of pissed Rings of Saturn has shirts with the Invader Zim on it? Hey John, I know how you can absolutely cure that plight, and that's by getting the CKN Club shirt. Guaranteed Invader Zim free. Mostly because I don't want to get sued. I love Invader Zim, but I don't want to get sued. Although if it gave me an excuse to meet some of the voice actors behind that show, I guess that'd be kind of cool. Because there's some there's a strong cast to that show.
This is the story of Jägermeister.
Yeah, Jägermeister. I feel like all these artists do is they just like find stuff from commercials and other songs and stuff like that, and they're just like, you know what, we don't have Title 13, we don't even have copyright laws. You try to come after us, we'll just smoke you out, and yo, you'll forget about this real fast. Richard Horvitz would be just wild. Yeah, but up next we do have Bluff with Zelteladen, aka the most overplayed song ever. Which means that, in order for that to be true, I definitely have to have heard it before. So this is probably something that I've heard that's like in club mixes that then somehow infect their way over to America. And then we'll have some Arcane with Unturning to potentially finish off the stream. I say potentially because I'm going to have one final trick up my sleeve in honor of AEW. Oh yes, my pronunciation is brilliant. Literally, if it's wrong, it's not wrong. Your country's wrong. That is the most like American thing I've ever said. I'm not wrong. Your country's wrong. Oh my Christ! Quick, somebody grab me my MAGA hat. Give me one of those concrete smoothers. I'll start building the wall myself.
I can yodel all.
Yeah, what he said. Perfect. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. My world was not complete, but it is now. It's the song about Jägermeister that we've always needed. Well, the most overplayed song in history, Zoitland by Bluff, has 18 million views. I hate to say it, but there are earworms that certainly have more YouTube exposure. But maybe it's for the best. Because those songs that have more YouTube exposure include, you know, ditties such as Baby Shark, Doot 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 Doo, and any song from Meghan Trainor. So really I think that we're already in better territory with Zootland.
I've been abducted.
Oh no, she's been abducted. Oh, and it's an unskippable ad. Man, this has been YouTube's specialty lately. Unskippable 15-second ads. And the funny thing about them is, they net you the same amount of revenue. There's literally nothing better about them. They're 10 times as worthless.
Niets is beter dan met jou de kou trotseren. Er zijn mensen die naar warme landen emigreren.
Have I ever been to the Netherlands? I have not. I have not been. Fortunately, I have been to America because I live here. I've been to the Bahamas, which is an island that is literally an American territory that's right off the coast of Florida, and I've been to Canada. I've never been to Europe. I was supposed to go to France whenever I was a senior in high school, but because of 9/11, that trip got canceled. This is why I need a generous benefactor to donate me like $10 million. You know, I could definitely do some travel damage. Dude, I don't even have a passport at this point, man. It's crazy. Wait, this song is overplayed? I don't think I'd mind. I don't think I would mind this being overplayed. Is this something where purely it's the lyricism that makes it kind of irritating? Or, like, what's the story behind this? Why is it so beloved or played so often, do you know?
En dan zitten we hier in het oude standhuis. Wat je vertelt houdt me nuchter en warm.
Listen, I would try to say those things, but I have no idea. Y'all could be calling me, like, a dickless butthead, and I wouldn't know it. It's very niche. Okay. Understandable. Yeah, to me this just sounds like a more acceptable version of like those cutesy songs that you hear in American culture. And I like that this is super understated. You know, they're not belting out and being very obnoxious about it. Instead, it feels very much like the best way I could describe this would be if like Paul McCartney or George Harrison wrote a song very similar to this, which, you know, they obviously have throughout their careers, where it feels like it applies to the fan base that is now like married or in strong relationships or whatever it may be. You know, getting a little bit older, you're no longer kids. You know, and the video kind of proves that to me a little bit, showing like cruise ships and the ocean, the beach, things that are seen as getaways and, you know, showcases of relaxation and living easy, so to speak. I'm happy you're here is the prep. Now see, I like that message a lot. I like that message. I like that message. How many albums do I listen to in a year and how? My goal for this year is 600 new, or not 600 rather, 300 new albums. And if it goes higher than that, then terrific. Ideally, I would like to do an album a day, but that's not always possible. Mostly because 2 weeks out of the year, I am basically dedicated to charity streams, not my own. One of those weeks just passed because I am pretty active, both as a viewer and a donor for the Games Done Quick series. So how I listen to that much is just, that's what I want to do. You know, I listen to a lot of music at night because it's calming, even if it is heavy metal. I've listened to so much metal that I can relax to just about anything. And I do feel a bit of responsibility, you know, to the channel and everything like that, obviously. So that also helps. So we have Arcane with Unturning. This is going to be the last track for the stream, it looks like. I did have something else that was in mind, but I think I'm going to keep that in my back pocket. Animental, John Tech Productions, thank you very much. I appreciate that, man. You keep on watching, and I'll keep on making the suckers. It's kind of how it goes, you know. See you later, Breathing Machine. You have yourself a good one. Native English speakers can't pronounce all of the diphthongs and the vowels due to the natural position of their larynx. Yeah, that's makes sense to me. Makes sense to me. And really, you can notice that even with some, like with some Spanish, even I can't roll my R's very well, and I know that that's not necessarily critical, but it's important. Like anytime I try to roll, it makes no sense. It sounds like it doesn't sound like an R. It sounds more like a growl or like a grr, you know. So it makes me wonder if I were to decide to maybe try to learn some Japanese, if there's any sort of language or linguistic barriers that would make that difficult for me, aside from, you know, not being quiet enough. Yeah, this is Unturning by Arcane. So once again, it's kind of funny to see all that and know how we have affected our own world simply by the languages that we speak and the philosophies that we keep. There's a lot of similar philosophies that we hold, expressed in different ways. But whenever you bring it all together, I think that one of the biggest universal philosophies that we all have is you only get one life, don't be an asshole. Or if you're going to be an asshole, at least be funny, because, you know, people will usually laugh at funny assholes and like funny assholes. Like, I remember I made it such a critical point last year to learn how to say that Christmas is a black cat in Spanish. So I'm just sitting there and I'm just like, Navidad es un gato negro. And it just sort of rolled off. And it was just that simple. I still remember the phrase today. Like, the way I have to drill myself with stuff, though, you know. I'm no longer in the position where if I say something, it's just going to immediately retain itself. There's a lot of information swimming up there in that head. A lot of it's completely useless. But data flushes don't happen very often and usually require some real stress to happen. Hey, Galidio's horse is awesome. Yeah, sometimes I can understand why bands want to put forth all of their best efforts into a long disc, especially if the writing sessions are very productive, but it can be very harrowing for a listener. You can alienate some folks just based off of length alone. You know, not everybody has sort of the power behind themselves or like the will to listen to an album that long. And I think it's another reason why pop albums have kind of gone away from being something that they release as often as they can to now sticking more towards like the singles culture, or like what is essentially like an EP where they release 2 or 3 songs at a time. I think that there's a lot of adjustment for attention span going on there. Vowel harmony. I like the sound of that. That sounds interesting. See you later, Adel. Have a good one, man. Do I listen to Blasphemy? I listen to heavy metal. Of course I listen to Blasphemy. Oh, you mean the band itself. Here and there. Here and there. I listen to the Devil's Music. I've also read the Devil's books. Not that satanic Bible shit, no. The Harry Potter series. No, I haven't read that either. I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh my god, unsub. I read 50 pages of the first Harry Potter book. That was it. I was done. Nope. Not for me. Don't know why. I was also a pretentious senior in high school, so who knows. Oh yeah, you were talking about that friend at work. How's that seems like that'd be a pretty cool connection to have. All the people I work with at the tax office are old. Like, I'm old too, but I mean, I'm the youngest person that's there, aside from one person, one dude. I guess that's different this year, because we got a couple of younger folks that want to actually do it, or got in really, really big trouble and were forced to do it by their parents. I don't know. All I know is that there's one dude I saw on the roster for this year that he had a job, and it was decent. So I'm curious as to why he's working with us. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, language is just sadly one of my big-time barriers. as badly as I would love to be, you know, super fluent and everything, it's just apparently my brain does not think in those terms. It's probably the reason why I'm also not an artist. You know, I have pretty pictures in my head, I have pretty thoughts in my brain, but representing those artistically, nope. You can get yourself some stick figures looking at a sun that looks like a golf ball. And a tree that looks like a scrub brush. Your English is very good, Waterblum. Thoughts on AEW wrestling? Dude, I'm stoked. I'm excited. I'm hoping that it does well. They have a lot at their disposal, so I think that it will, but there are hurdles that they're going to have to climb if they're going to be, like, if they are going to become like the #2 promotion and give WWE the competition that it needs. Thank you. My English is passable at best. I get into a lot of colloquialisms. I like somewhat subscribe to meme culture, but mostly within language, as opposed to, you don't see me running around saying big chungus all the time or whatever. I intentionally, or not, or I unintentionally alliterate a lot. And one of my biggest faux pas is that I will repeat the same idea in 3 different ways, almost like I'm trying to show that I can do it. ¿Tú no comprendo español? No. I don't know how to say no bueno, no good, not very well. I've watched Lucha Underground. That's about it. If you gave me a large paragraph of Spanish, I would not know what you're talking about. Unfortunately, no. I was able to basically understand "Tú no comprendo español" because, you know, the word comprehendo is in there, and comprehension. You know, you're able to use context clues sometimes to dart out some meaning, but yeah. Anyhow, ladies and gents, I'm out of here for the evening. I have heard of Daring Gray, Antimental. We've actually talked about them on the channel a number of years ago. We did. I think with Volve, isn't it because he's Australian? Oh wait, no, you're talking non-English. Shit. Volve is from Norway. Paradise is from Australia. Man, I talked with this Australian girl, God, 15 years ago. She's wild. Wish Paradise was still here. I need to ask him if all Australian women are insane. Anyhow, I'm out of here, guys. Thanks very much. I'll talk to you guys next time. Might stream tomorrow. I don't know. Thinking probably not. Originally, I was going to do this stream tomorrow, but we'll see what happens. I have a couple other things I need to do, so we'll see. I'll chat with you guys next time. Take care. Thanks for stopping out.